Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be having a lot of stuff to talk about today. We got the flooding potential that may happen across parts of the Carolinas, maybe into parts of southeastern Virginia. We got monsoons going on across parts of the Rockies. And we got a lot of smoke going on out there across a good chunk of the central and western United States. Severe weather may return across parts of the Midwest. And we also got a little bit of the tropics to talk about. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started with the watch warning advisory display. So this is what's going on right now, your current alerts. And there's a few noticeable things. One of those is these flash flood watches across a good chunk of the Rockies here. That's because of your monsoon season. And some places have seen major flooding. Um, where some places have received several inches of rain in a short period of time, which is causing major floods and also some big time debris flows where all this rain and stuff is going on to some of the remains from the wildfires, and all that debris stuff gets picked up and it kind of goes down to those ditches as well. So you got like pieces of burnt trees and stuff like that. We do have wildfires going on, especially across parts of Washington and Oregon. There is a couple wildfires going on across parts of Northern California. Um, Air quality alerts as well especially across parts of Oregon and Washington. You got another area across parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and also for the eastern Rockies as well, and scattered air quality alerts in some places as well across parts of some of those big cities. And there is some flash flood watches in effect for parts of eastern North Carolina. Don't be surprised if that gets expanded further to the southwest, into parts of South Carolina around the Myrtle Beach area, where some of those places could see several inches of rain over the next few days. Flash flood watches and across parts of Alabama and Georgia, some of those places could see a couple inches of rain as well. So let's first talk about the smoke situation here, and you'll be able to tell where a lot of smoke is, or where some of these wildfires are at. So here's one big one that's going on across parts of Manitoba, that's bringing some smoke across parts of the Great Lakes region in the upper Midwest. That's where you kind of get some of those air quality alerts from. There's a large area of some heavy smoke across parts of Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and Montana, even for northwestern Wyoming as well, dealing with some heavy smoke for some of those wildfires. And we also got another area of wildfires across parts of northern California, and those will eventually spread to the north into parts of Oregon. So I do expect more air quality alerts to be issued across parts of Oregon and California over the next couple of days here. You also notice here, check out all the smoke that's going on across parts of the plains and down across parts of the south as well. There's going to be a front that sticks around right here, or actually a little bit more further south here. You got a front that's down here, and that's bringing all this smoke down here further to the south here. You'll have an area high pressure to the north, and eventually with the direction of the wind, some of this smoke will eventually go into parts of the northeastern United States where some of you guys are not experiencing any smoke in the air. That might change later this week, where some of this smoke here from the fires up in Manitoba will go down into parts of southern Ontario, into parts of the northeast very soon. So that's the smoke situation. Let's move on to the where we're going to some places could see a lot of rain, especially across North Carolina and South Carolina. Check out these rainfall totals. This is for the next 5 days. And we're talking about some places could see upwards of close to 10 inches of rain. And that's a significant amount of rain for 10 days. You're averaging about 2 inches of rain every day. But we're going to see some training thunderstorms, and there's going to be a couple low pressure systems that does ride along in front of me right here. They'll be moving into the northeast with that stationary boundary they'll be setting up as well. And you'll have low pressure systems riding up along it, and that's going to bring in a lot of moisture and a lot of rain and thunderstorms. Now, the good news is the severe weather threat should stay low on these days here, but there could be a chance for a strong storm out there. The main threat would be damaging winds. So I'm not expecting any much of severe weather, but the biggest concern is going to be the flooding potential. And seeing forecasts like this in 5 days is pretty bad there for parts of eastern North Carolina. So if you so yeah, be prepared for a lot of rain across parts of South Carolina and North Carolina. Those are not the only areas that'll be experiencing a lot of rainfall in the next 5 days. Uh, let's check out the excessive. Well, let's go to the predicted rainfall from the weather prediction first. You can see there across parts of the Carolinas with all that rainfall. At least some of the heaviest may just be off the coast there. We'll see. But there's going to be a decent amount of rain across parts of the Rockies here, and some of those will have to deal with some monsoons, as well as monsoon season does continue across parts of the Rockies as well, and that's going to bring some flash flooding problems. And as we check out the excessive rainfall outlook for today, you got a couple slight risks. You got a couple slight risks across parts of the Rockies. You also got another slight risk across parts of the Gulf Coast states as well. As we move on to tomorrow, we actually got a moderate risk for some excessive rainfall across parts of south central Colorado into northern uh, New Mexico. And then you got that slight risk that does move up into the Carolinas, even across parts of northeast, or I should say southeastern Georgia. And then on day 3, you still got that slight risk in effect for parts of the Carolinas, and you do have another slight risk area across parts of New Mexico and Colorado. So yeah, a lot of rain's going to be coming for some of these folks as well, and unfortunately flooding will become a problem over the next couple days for some of these places in here. Let's kind of move on to the severe weather side of things, and we're going to be focused on the Midwest for this upcoming weekend. So we'll check out the European model first. We'll skip to Friday, and you'll see here that we are going to see a pretty good low pressure system that'll be moving out of the Rockies, and this will be moving into parts of the plains here. And out ahead of this system, it's going to be a very unstable atmosphere. As we move on to 7 o'clock on Friday, your low pressure system moves nearby Rapid City, South Dakota, and there's going to be some storms out there. You can see the cluster thunderstorms may try to develop across parts of South Dakota, and maybe another one across parts of North Dakota and Montana. So you move on to the overnight hours, there could be a couple cluster thunderstorms out there, so that's something we need to watch. And here's Saturday morning, you can see some thunderstorms going on out there across parts of the plains into parts of the upper Midwest as well. Here's the GFS. It shows something pretty similar. A low pressure system will set up somewhere right in here, but it doesn't really show much of the way of shower thunderstorm activity, so there's some absurdities here. But as we move into Saturday, later day on Saturday, bam. So your low pressure system is somewhere back here across parts of South Dakota, and out ahead of it is a big cluster of thunderstorms, or multiple thunderstorms. Now form across parts of southern Minnesota into Iowa, even into parts of Wisconsin overnight. And here's the GFS prediction, and it does show some thunderstorms out there. It does show a big cluster over Fargo, North Dakota, and there's some thunderstorms across southern Iowa. Of course, the reflectivity is going to change around over the next couple of days, but some of these storm clusters will roll through across parts of the Midwest later today on Saturday. If we move back to the European model, as you can see here, some of those cluster thunderstorms do move to the east into parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Missouri into the overnight hours. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit. Let's check out the environment here. Let's see what the models are showing. So let's check out that low of a jet at 850 millibars. Yeah, that's a pretty good low of a jet right there. And trying to figure out what color. I guess we'll use pink here. You got a pretty good low of a jet here. This will be a favorable environment here for damage to winds and maybe even for a few tornadoes. Let's check out the GFS model here. And you can see our shows something pretty similar. Actually, a stronger low of a jet there. And again, this will be favorable for damage to winds and maybe a few tornadoes as well. And this low of a jet will likely increase overnight or gain strength. That's very typical at 850 millibars. The winds do get stronger when you get to the overnight hours. But that's a little bit of a concerning setup there because that can lead to a threat of tornadoes and also damage winds. Check out 500 millibar winds. You can see it. There is some decent 500 millibar winds, so this could be a favorable environment here for some storm clusters out there as well. And that's also a big change in the wind shear. I've just noticed this here is the wind shear that's going on here. Wind direction of height. So this is 500 millibars. You got winds coming from the northwest. Go down to 850 millibars, which is your low of jet. You got winds coming from the southwest. That's a pretty significant uh, wind direction of height there. I mean, that's almost two completely different directions. And what that could do here is they get over that area, that's going to create some spin there in the atmosphere. So that looks like there could be a lot of wind shear involved. Let's see if the GFS shows something similar. So in the local jet, pretty much southwest or even directly from the south in some places. Go up to 500 millibars. Yeah, talking about a lot of wind shear. So that's gonna be a little bit concerning right there, where these storms will have a whole lot of wind shear to work with, especially when we get discrete cells out there, which is gonna be the big concern. Is if we do get any discrete cells out there, those will have the better opportunity to produce all hazards, especially for tornadoes. And if we do get any storm clusters out there, the primary threat would be damaged winds and maybe a few tornadoes as well. But man, that's quite a wind direction of height. It's pretty crazy. But keep in mind, things will change. I mean, we're still several days out from this event as well. Let's move on to Sunday. Actually, wait a minute. I forgot to show you guys the cape. Whoops. My bad. So this is the GFS model here for instability. And it shows quite a bit out there under that wind direction of height. So, and it good. And the European model shows pretty much a similar thing here. Something of greatest instability over Iowa, with really anywhere from 2,000 to 3,500 joules per kilogram, which is favorable for some severe weather. So yeah, definitely something we need to watch here for Saturday. And eventually things will move further to the east a little bit. The European model actually has it continuing on to the next day with actually more instability to work with. There could be a cap there in place. We'll see about that. But let's check out those upper level winds though. You can see here at 500 millibars it's not as strong, but you do have winds coming from to the west here in the low levels. You do have winds coming from the southwest. Now the wind at 500 millibars and 850 millibars is not as strong, but that's still a good amount of wind shear to work with as well. So if you kind of move on later into the overnight hours, you can see here things kind of starting to flatten out a little bit. We're starting to see a little bit less wind shear right here, but there's still some there. Yeah, the winds become a little bit more southwest overnight, so it looks like your wind shear may decrease overnight Sunday. If you look at the GFS, it shows a much stronger 500 millibar winds there. If you look at it to 850 millibars, yeah, there's still some wind shear to work with, but there is some pretty strong winds involved there in the upper levels. So that's a pretty concerning setup. And right under that for instability, yeah, there's a decent amount out there, especially for 3 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty ridiculous. If you go back to 7 o'clock, yeah, there's a lot of instability out there. So Saturday and Sunday would definitely be the days to watch for the potential for some severe weather. SPC does mention that 15% might be coming. So if the agreement does hold, and if trends do go towards this solution, I think a 15% slack risk is likely in their 4 to 8 day outlook here. So this is definitely a setup we need to monitor here, but keep in mind things could change from now till then. So it's still something to watch for now. And the severe weather threat may continue to Monday, but it won't be as good as for Saturday and Sunday. But it does show a lot of instability from the GFS across parts of the Midwest to parts of the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. European model, it's a little bit slower, but the GFS does have a progression bias to it. If we check out those upper level winds, 850 millibars, there's a better low of a jet up in the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes. Doesn't surprise me. Those 500 millibar winds, yeah, it's pretty misplaced well up to the north. So there's going to be some uncertainties on Monday. So the severe weather threat may continue to Monday, maybe further to the east and southeast. But then again, things will likely change from now till then. So pretty much So I did make a map here real quick here. This is a very basic map here, really. Um, it is a big square, but this is just a general area here. Expect for to be a little bit more edited and stuff like that if things would get more specific. But really, in this pink square here, these will be the areas to watch for severe weather for Saturday and Sunday. So that includes Iowa, southern Minnesota, the southern half of Wisconsin, the northern half of Illinois, northern Missouri, eastern Nebraska, eastern South Dakota, northeastern Kansas. That might get bumped a little further up north. I'm not too comfortable with of how far south this is, but maybe into parts of northwestern Indiana as well. And then again, things will likely shift around over the next couple days, and we'll be able to say things a little bit more specific, and we'll have a better idea as we get closer to the event. So that's the severe weather side of things out of the way. Let's check out the tropics. It's the last topic, and as you can see here, the National Hurricane Center does highlight the possibility for a tropical system that may try to develop in the main development region. This will be moving to the northwest here, and eventually it's going to turn a little bit more towards the west here later on. But this system here will go into an environment that's not as favorable for tropical development than where it is right now. It'll be going to an environment where uh, the sea surface temperatures will be cooler, and there's also a little bit more dry air to work with. So there's going to be some uncertainties on the system here. If it does make it through that type of environment here, might be interesting later on. So we're going to see how things will go. But first, it's got to go through this environment here first. If it does make it through here, then we may have to watch parts of the Caribbean later down the road. So we'll have to see what's going to happen here with this system here. And they do have a pretty low percent in the next 48 hours and also in the next 5 days. So 10% and 20% chance. So pretty low percent. They may bump it up a little bit, but I don't really expect them to go uh, 40% and above, just given the fact there is going to be a lot of uncertainty of how the system is going to go when it gets to that very unfavorable environment. In the Eastern Pacific, it's a completely different story. In the Eastern Pacific, it is pretty active right now. So we got two disturbances here to watch. You got one that's got a good chance. You got one that's a low end chance. You got I'm not going to be able to pronounce these, but you got a hurricane with 75-mile-per-hour winds with a pressure of 990 millibars, and you also got a tropical storm with 40-mile-per-hour winds. Let's check out see where this could be going. It looks like they do expect this hurricane here to die down to a tropical storm and eventually to a tropical depression later down the road. So they expect that on the weakening trend. Then you got this system here, which look like it's going to be briefly a tropical storm, but eventually it should die down into a tropical depression. Very active in the Eastern Pacific right now. And in the Central Pacific, you see with that same hurricane. But right now, nothing's expected for around Hawaii here over the next several days, which is good news there. But otherwise, the Eastern Pacific is looking to stay active over the next several days. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you already like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys got questions about this, leave it in the comment section down below. I answer you guys questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.